What's up, guys? It's Erica here, bringing you season 2, episode 6 of the F1 podcast. Now, for those of you who are listening last week, Ricci was gone, and this week, Andrew's gone. So, it, it, me, it's me. This is all you get. Psych! We've
Hello.
actually. Ricci's back! Say hello, Ricci!
Hi, Erica. Hi, everyone. It's great to be back. It was a nice week away, but yeah, it was nice to kind of get away and just get out of the snow and then come back to snow on the day we flew in. But it's good. And now Andrew is well-deserved vacation in Mexico. So no, it's good to be back. How you been, Erica?
I've been doing all right. I've been feeling like I need to go to Mexico now after the two of you have taken off. But you know what? Today you brought some of that sunshine back with you. It was plus 15 and sunny, so I can't really complain about that too much.
There was a lot of volleyball and spike ball going on in the park across my apartment. So it was beautiful. It was nice to kind of get out of the apartment and go out. So
Yeah.
too bad I can't say the same for the race today for
Not so
sun,
much.
but we can get into that. So sorry, go ahead, Erica. My apologies. I know you wanted to go with this one.
Oh no, I mean, hey, this is my show. This is my podcast now. This is mine. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. It was a really fun weekend. We saw the first sprint of the season. So quali was on Friday, the sprint on Saturday, the race today, Sunday, April 24th. And we're going to go ahead and break that down a little bit. So it was an eventful weekend with the highest of highs and the lowest of lows for a lot of people, really. But how did you feel? How did you enjoy the weekend, Ricci?
Oh, was sucked. You lose. I don't know where to start, from fantasy or just being a Ferrari fan and part of the Tifosi. It was a tough weekend. I think there's no question that Red Bull had the advantage and they really just hit it out of the park this weekend. It stings, especially like this is the home track of Ferrari. Maranello is not that far away, and this is where the drivers practice and race too. At the sprint race, Leclerc came second and Carlos was able to kind of recover from, I think it was a ninth grid to a fourth. And so that was kind of nice to see. But then just the wheels just kind of went off the Sunday. It was kind of just tough. We had the first with Sainz getting hit by Ricardo in the first, and then Leclerc pushing towards the end of the lap and then going over, I think it was the chicane, I forget, or the ramp. I don't know what you call that. But able to recover a couple of spots. But yeah, it was tough. But I mean, Red Bull destroyed this weekend, whether from the fastest lap to the sprint to the race. But it was nice, honestly, like it was good to see the Tifosi out in support for Charles and Carlos today. I don't know if you saw at the beginning of the race, it was beautiful seeing all the red flags and the Ferrari symbols and all the flares. It was exciting. And then at the end of the race, there is barely any of that, and then one orange flare. So
Oh, I did see the flare. I saw the flare at the end when everyone was on their cooldown, but didn't see too much of the red showing up at that point in time, sadly. So,
and too bad the weather. I mean, this is I think our first real rain race. It was it was interesting. I think there was 4 red flags to come during qualifying for the first time in I don't know, in a couple. I don't remember qualifying that bad since maybe was it Spa last year, where literally they had just handed everybody the race when they were like, oh, we can't race anymore.
yeah, it was definitely, I think, weather-wise, not optimal racing conditions. I do think it allowed us to see a bit of a spotlight on some drivers that we're not used to seeing. I mean, Zhou Guanyu coming fourth in Q1 in qualifying was pretty exciting to see. I think that was the wettest round of quali, like things kind of dried up after that. But pretty impressive from the young driver, seeing him be able to put out that kind of pace in the car early on. Um, but also kind of interesting because so many of the drivers started on inters today, And obviously, that's not a tire that you want to take on a dry racing line. You really do want to have a bit of a like slicker, wetter track. So, seeing some of the interesting ways people were trying to prolong the amount of time they could stay out there on those tires, but without taking the optimal line, kind of provided some interesting racing today. Um, and then we just kept getting teased with more rain. So it was like, do we keep these tires on? Do people come in for slicks? What's going on? But yeah, they were just toying with us, but in a way that was very different than Spa last year.
Yeah, it was interesting, especially with Guangzhou. There was that instance where I think Max Verstappen was outlapping him, and I guess he got blue flagged, and instead of going to moving over to the dry spot, he like full on accepted the fate and just went into the wet spot of the track, and it's just like, yeah, he had no business of dealing with the champion from last year. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna let you pass. You deserve this. I'm in the back of the grid. So, but also like some good driving from Yuki Tsunoda and just, Pierre Gasly just holding up Hamilton all freaking race. But we can dive a little bit more into that. I think it was really interesting to see, particular Aston Martin had a great weekend this week. And I think some much needed points. And, but Daniel Ricciardo, just trying to do anything
Yeah.
after the spin out, but we'll get a little bit more into that. And congratulations, Erica, Lando Norris getting on the podium.
I'm so excited. 2 years in a row at not Monza, what am I saying? At Emilia Romagna, we've got Lando on the podium, which I think is really exciting. I mean, this is the fourth race of the season, the fourth stage, and to me, it's pretty well a 180 that McLaren has been able to pull from what we saw at the start of things. I mean, obviously, very upsetting what happened on the first lap with Daniel. He wasn't really ever able to recover from that. I do think it was a smart move on the part of McLaren to kind of, just see what they could do by bringing him into the pit early, putting him on a set of slicks and seeing what that would do. But obviously, being at the back of the grid at that point in time, any kind of advantage you'd have was lost when everyone else was able to come in and then kind of copy that. But he did have a really great qualifying and sprint race, which was exciting to see. They're really finding pace in this car and proving to be more competitive. So I'm hoping that, we just see some better driving from the two that continue this momentum that they've got, and we're, hopefully seeing some more podiums out of these two guys in the near future.
And I think a good thing to add is the sprint race, particularly. This is the first time this year that the new change allows for more drivers to get points. So kind of and kind of pushes some teams to say, the sprint race is actually something that we should try for, because before last year it was only the top 3 get points. Correct. Now it's the top 8 get points.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, Kevin Magnussen was able to get a point yesterday. And then also I think he was in the points again today. So really kind of encourages like the teams that are towards the back of the grid, let's try to get that 8 spot or try to get some points to move up the constructors or anything.
Yeah, and get some of your drivers in the drivers championship, right? I mean, you can go for like we've seen with the Haas car, obviously better than in previous years, but it's not necessarily a car where even if you come at the front of the grid for quali or sprint or something, you may not be able to maintain that kind of positioning throughout an entire 63 lap race. But for a sprint, yeah, like there's good opportunity there. I think, unfortunately, I mean, Haas did put a bit of a gamble on putting them on intermediate tires. Medium tires, not inters. During the sprint there, which would have worked, but with the safety car coming out so quick at the beginning, it did kind of extend the longevity and help those soft tires get up to temperature for the other drivers. So, he wasn't really able to hold on to that super swanky 4th place that I think he was sitting in for a while, which would have been great. But a great way to see both drivers kind of gaining some momentum. Unfortunately for Mick today, not something he was able to hold on to after starting in P10. But we're seeing a much better team kind of come forward as the season progresses, and I'm excited to see what's next for them. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and especially not only but Williams, Alex Albon was like inches of getting P10 again today, and I don't think it was very anticipated. But it's
No.
good to see some of these smaller teams still like being competitive and showing. Obviously, maybe not so much like Latifi, but Albon is showing that like it's still possible. Like if you're in one of those lower tier cars, that you can still fight for the points no matter what happens, rain or shine in a track.
Exactly. And especially for Albon, I mean, I was a little concerned. Scary instance in Q1 for qualifying on Friday with the brake explosion that happened. Like, it's one thing if your brakes kind of catch on fire, but that was, I mean, once they showed the slow-mo of what happened, I mean, there's no other way to kind of phrase it. That was, and you even hear him on the radio, he's panicked. He's like, "Oh my God, I've lost my brakes." Like, that's, I think, one of the worst things you could hear in something like this. But good that he was able to, feel comfortable in the car and kind of turn it around. But you bring up an interesting point about a lot of the teams kind of battling more for the midfield, getting into the points, ones that we're not used to seeing. Alternatively, we're also seeing people battle for points that we're not used to seeing miss out on that. And I think this brings up a really kind of interesting moment for us to be able to talk about Lewis Hamilton and the weekend he had.
Okay, Lewis, another rough day in the office, I'm afraid.
So unexpected. Like, I wouldn't have assumed that the Mercedes would be in this kind of position, honestly.
Literally a few months ago, these guys were battling for the world championship on the last lap. And like literally came down to the last couple of turns, and Verstappen was able to beat him.
And I'll take this second here. We were kind of messaging in our group, and Andrew sent us a message with his 2 cents on it, just kind of talking about, how it might be for Hamilton this season, because obviously we've had a lot of speculation about kind of like what the future is at Mercedes between the drivers, the car, etc. But Andrew wanted to turn the attention to Hamilton's post-race interview, saying that there's a clip surfacing on YouTube about his comments to Barretto after the race, and his final comment in the clip was, "Shows how wrong we got it." Andrew specifically was remembering how at the beginning of the season in testing, Hamilton said how his team doesn't make mistakes. So very interesting that there's been a huge contrast in tone and a very humbling experience for Hamilton so far, which I think that's a great way to put it. Is it's his humbling experience. He's just not used to this at this stage of the game, I don't believe.
Well, and he also admitted, I think, I don't know if this is actually true, but I think I saw yesterday that I think he just admitted that he's out of the championship. He doesn't anticipate him catching up. It's just like, I don't know if that's like true, but it's like,
I'll say I think he's got a long way to go if he were to, be up there with Max and Shaw for like battling for first place. I do think he can be competitive in terms of finishing at the top because the season's long. We've got a long way to go. We've got another 2-week break until we race in Miami. There's work to be done. Toto came on the radio after the race and was talking to him saying like, we let you down.
Lewis, hi. Sorry for what you have needed to drive today. I know this is undrivable and not what we deserve to score as a result.
Like, we let you down. We don't know. Like, it was just not a good race. It wasn't, pinning the blame on Hamilton saying it was driver error or anything. So clearly the team knows that there's opportunity to improve and that they need to get there. So, so much can change. I mean, Charles still has a huge lead over Max at this point. I think it's around like 27 points or something like that. But we've seen, everyone was saying that last year, that Lewis was kind of out of the running midway through the season and that Max was going to kind of pull away with the championship. And then it came down to the final race. So, the season's long, lots can happen. Maybe we'll have a couple more DNFs or bad drives from other people, and that can completely change the tide. So I wouldn't say he's out of the running just yet, but if he gets too down on himself, I think it'll make it even harder for him to recover.
Yeah, and it's really interesting just seeing these comments, but like, I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see, and I think maybe do we see some spark after the summer break? Is that could that be maybe the turning point where he just needs to go on like an Instagram, not an Instagram, but like a social media black out and just go enjoy himself and like really recharge. So these next couple of races are going to kind of be pivotal, and how Toto and Mercedes responds to just like after this weekend. So I'm intrigued, but
yeah,
I mean, he is a 7-time world champion. They always figure it out somehow.
exactly. Yeah. But with that said, what else? I mean, there's a couple other really exciting things that happened this week. So obviously, you know, super exciting. Red Bull had their first P1, P2 finish for the first time since 2016 when it was Max and Daniel that were driving for the team.
Wow.
I know, it's like, real. Oh yeah, like Ricardo used to be a Red Bull driver. So exciting for them to do that. Obviously, very happy for Checo. Great driving from Checo today. I mean, incredible start off the line and then just doing what he does. He's got that big rear and he's not afraid to use it to fight off his opponents.
Yeah, and he's really embracing that second seat, and it's really.
Yeah.
And when I was in Mexico and I was wearing my Formula One shirt, I was wearing an Aston Martin shirt. I can tell you that he's very loved in his home country, and there's no secret that their Czechomania is very alive and well still in Mexico. But no, yeah, he's a good result for him, and just thinking that it was 6 years ago since their last double podium, and keep in mind Max Verstappen is only 24 right now. Only 24.
What were you doing at 24, Ricci?
I think I graduated university. Yeah. I got myself education. Yeah, no, it's still crazy. But yeah, no, there's some great, and there was a moment where Charles almost could have caught up to Checo today, but I think, you know, maybe some of that experience of driving for a longer period of time compared to Charles was able to kind of maintain that composure and hold that P2 spot.
For sure. So with that in mind, yeah, I think there's one real big thing from the race that's top of mind for me that we've yet to address, and that has been the lap 1 incident that kind of caused a I don't even know how to phrase this with words, but it fundamentally changed the course of the race for a significant number of drivers and
screwed up my fantasy.
And mine too. If you were like me and you were triple Ferrari in one of your fantasy pools, did not go well. So
lose.
Yeah, so for anyone who may have missed it, essentially there was a racing incident between Ricciardo and Sainz, which caused Sainz to spin out into the gravel. Daniel was able to recover the car and kind of limp back on in P19. Sainz retired, brought out a yellow car, not virtual safety car, it was an actual safety car,
safety car.
For a couple of laps there. There was also, you know, a lot of change-ups in position. Mick Schumacher spun out around the same corner too, I think just trying to avoid the incident and what was going on, and ended up giving a little love tap to the side of Fernando Alonso's car, causing a crack in the fiberglass body with his rear tire. And obviously for Mick, that was not great because being in P10, he was unable to keep that position and kind of fell back as he was recovering. So how do you feel about that incident, Ricci? Do you feel that Daniel's at fault, Sainz is at fault? Talk to us about it.
Well, I think it's just the problem is that it's the first turn, and I think, you know, the stewards, you know, didn't bother to give any. I think they investigated it, but nothing was. I mean, it's hard because it's the first turn of any race. Anything can happen when you have all 20 cars going into that turn, any turn of any track. Like, you're gonna bump. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think Daniel did apologize over the radio or said sorry to Charles or something. I think there was some video, but so like I don't really feel anger towards Daniel. Yes, was I angry when I saw the one Ferrari just kind of like whoop, all right, out, literally go to the gravel pit. I'm like, whoa, and then all of a sudden, then it's like you had the McLaren and then you had the Ferrari, and the next thing you know, you saw Daniel kind of drive away, no problem, and then Carlos was beached for the second straight race. I mean, it's fine. It's first lap incidents. It's just going to happen. I think the stewards said, look, it was an incident, but we don't deem that. I don't personally think that a 5-second penalty would have really justified. That's just my humble opinion. And like I know we are on two of the opposing teams, but I didn't really think it was dirty racing. It just, heck, I play on F1 I play F1 online. Like the first turn is chaotic. And there's sometimes I kind of question how some people don't get disqualified after they play online, but that's for a different episode. So
No, I agree with you on that one. Watching some of the replays, I would say part of the blame is on Daniel, because I do feel like it was pretty obvious that Sainz did have the advantage going into the corner. Like maybe you give a little more space, but it's also hard to tell because I can't see what's in his mirrors. Maybe he didn't have that space to give with other people kind of closing in on the rear or like being slightly behind and to the left or anything like that. But yeah, like it's just a racing incident. They want the wheel-to-wheel racing. They want the close action. Stuff like this is going to happen in those scenarios. I did feel bad for Alonso having his race end so early, because in that incident, you know, when Mick spun out and hit the side of his car, it caused the crack in about, I don't know, I want to say it was like the 7th or 8th lap. It wasn't that far into the race. The side of his car flew away. Hamilton was approaching him in order to make a pass on the right-hand side, and all of a sudden we just see this piece of cargo flying off to the side of the track. And there's nothing you can do about that. It's not like a small thing where you could maybe like throw some duct tape on it to hold it together to the end of the race. It's like the size of a small child, the hole in the size of his car. Is that what you're looking up right now, Ricci?
Yeah, I had to double check because I honestly just walked away during that track to make breakfast. Sorry, not that track. Walked away from that part of the race just to rewatch it. But yeah, it literally just flew off, and yeah, there's nothing you can do. That's an automatic. You got to come in. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to rewatch that, but also like the track was still wet, and like you see when they first kind of went away, like all the water was still spraying. So it's like by the time you kind of make it that corner, like if your visor gets hit with water, you don't have time to like clean it. Yeah, maybe there could have been room, but it's just
there's just too many factors at play. Yeah. But before we move on, the last thing I want to say is I'm realizing how physical the driving is this season. I don't know if you noticed, but the amount of porpoising and bouncing these poor guys have had to deal with in these cars, I would be like, my butt would be bruised by the time I got out of that car. So, yeah, I'm gaining more and more respect in terms of like the physical strain these guys put themselves through as we're watching this. So,
you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to post in the YouTube comments below when I post this on YouTube, but Kim Illman, the photographer that I follow on his social media, who takes photos at these races, he actually spent a week training with an F1 trainer, and just some of the stuff drivers have to go through for conditioning and psychology, or just trying to mentally be in that in a race is just like crazy. Like, I don't know if you've seen the videos of them like doing the neck.
Yeah.
My neck's hurting just thinking about it.
So, congrats everyone. You made it through a week. And
not only that, Bottas and Russell didn't crash this year because they crashed last race.
That's true.
Year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But some good fighting between both of them. Forgot to mention that.
Good fighting. Very exciting stuff that was going on between Russell, Magnussen, and Bottas. That was a really exciting kind of jockeying for position that they had there. So I'm enjoying it. It's been fun so far. There's been some heartbreaking moments that make me want to throw my shoe at my laptop or at my TV, but you know, it's a good time either way. Also, yes, that's a great visual of me just yeeting my shoe at TV screen. So.
Protein. I mean, if you already want to just accept that you have to do the shoey, like, we were happy for you to do it.
I'm not giving up yet. I'm starting to sign people to 1 week contracts on Grid Rival because I trust no one. Anyway, with that said, we'll go into our next segment. So
before we head into our next segment, it is Ricci here, just doing a quick shout out for our social media channels. Again, thank you guys so much for all the support. We really appreciate it. We're having so much fun doing this series. You can find us on you can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, our YouTube page, Instagram at f1.podcast, and as well at Twitch at xRicci. Again, thank you guys so much for the support. Make sure to submit your questions. We really appreciate everything. And this week's episode was a lot of fun. And Andrew, hope you're enjoying your much needed vacation. We're looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. So enough about me talking. Let's get into the next segment. Thanks, everyone.
You know, Andrew and I had some fun last weekend celebrating in honor of Gunther's birthday, doing Rockstar or Wanker. Ricci did not get the opportunity to play, so we're going to do another segment of Rockstar or Wanker today. We've put together our list, and we're going to go through it and give our opinions on each of the 10 topics we've lined up here. Alrighty.
Yes. Are you going first or am I going first?
I'll list them off, and you can start things off with your opinions. How's that sound?
Perfect. But I also, for the record, last week's you guys killed it as I was away. I don't know if I have that on record yet on this pod, but thank you. It was a joy to listen to when I was editing it when I got back, and all the fun stuff. So
shucks, I'm blushing. All right, with that said, we're gonna get our second round of Rockstar or Wanker underway. All right, Ricci, first up we have Daniel Ricciardo. Based on this week, which way are you leaning?
Well, Wanker, it was not like it just like it, it just sucks because like your teammate was on the podium and then you were at the back of the grid. And even if when he tried to do the tire change, and it's just like, obviously encouraged everybody to come up, and then they put the hards on. I don't know why they put the hards on. So
I don't even know.
And he was just sitting in the back and just one of those types of races. So I think he's probably excited to get out of Italy. And I'm pretty sure I saw an Instagram video he posted of him flying in or flying out of Italy. If I was him, I'd be get out of Italy as fast as possible.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on there. The one thing I will say is, as much as it was a bit of a wanker move that put him in the position he was in, he handled it like a rock star. He, I think, had some good messaging and apologies that went out and kind of handled it graciously instead of trying to point the finger at other people. So, wanker move, rock star response. So,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay, next up we have Aston Martin.
Well, since Andrew's not here, but I can just hear on the plane yelling Rockstar. I think this was a weekend that they really needed, so I'm going to go Rockstar. It's good to see Sebastian Vettel racing again. His second race back. But yeah, I think after Australia there was clearly some issues that the team needed to address, and I think both Lance and Sebastian really got on their cars this weekend and drove really well. And I think they needed some points on the board, and they're no longer in the bottom. I think Williams still is. But this is what they needed. They needed this weekend, and they did their job.
Yeah, both drivers in the points. That's pretty awesome. Rockstar move based on what we've seen in the past. I can't say for certain Stroll used his mirrors, but seemed whatever he did was working better than before. And yeah, happy to see Vettel back in the car and doing well. I had a bit of a heart attack. I don't know if you noticed on the stream, but they put Hulkenberg's name down at first and then corrected it to Vettel after the formation lap and stuff. So I was sitting there wait, what happened? Is he sick again? He was just in the car yesterday. What's going on? But
I hope they're not
Vettel.
Foreshadowing that if he's going to retire at the end of the year, then Hulkenberg's taking the seat.
No, it's just we've seen that they don't know what they're doing with the graphics sometimes, so I think it was just a bit of user error. But yeah, Rockstar of a week for Aston Martin, so 2 thumbs up. Cool. Number 3, George Russell.
Rockstar. 100%. Probably is one of his better, other than the podium, but I think is definitely his top 2 races in the Mercedes seat. The guy's on a roll right now, and he's clearly not stopping. I think this is his 5th consecutive P5 or finishing in the top 5, and he's just getting down to work and doing and whatever controversy is going on in the Mercedes garage right now. He's clearly showing that he can drive the car. And like, look, he had a good race today, and fought off Bottas when he was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think definitely had some Rockstar moments today.
For sure, some good attacks, some good defending, and ending up in P4. Like, crushed it. Don't know what else you could really ask for out of that. So, gotta agree with you there too. And next up, we've got your favorites, the Tifosi and the fans. How do you feel about them this week, Ricci?
I think it definitely Rockstar. I think it felt they did what they had to do. They came, they cheered, they partied, so many flags, so many like grazie mille to all the fans that came out. Not the result that we wanted, but you can be proud that you came there and supported the boys in the seats. I think I will never forget because my dad's actually been to that track back in the early 2000s. But if you remember when they started, they lined up for the formation after the formation lap, and then you just see all the red flares in the back, and it's just like, okay, they got home court advantage. Everything is gonna go well. We're gonna do this first turn. But yeah, no, kudos, Rockstar to the fans and everybody that went out this weekend cheering on for the Ferrari.
For sure. Number 5 for Rockstar or Wanker, Nico Rosberg.
Okay, so he's just a funny guy. I can't even, maybe like the wanker in the fun, but yeah. he was not afraid to say what he had to say today. And that's kind of like, obviously, actually, to be honest, I didn't really catch a lot of it, but I saw a lot of it on Twitter, people just saying that he was trolling a lot. So I'm going to say Rockstar, but he was full on not afraid to say what he had to say.
I'm going to say he's a bit of a wanker because he decided to go trolling today. Like, talk about kicking a man when he's down in terms of some of the commentary. Like, I know that you're a commentator and part of what you get paid for is having takes and opinions, especially if you can come up with them on the fly. But like, come on, dude. We know you don't like Hamilton. We know this is like still an ongoing feud years later. But
I'm just picturing, I'm going to put this in the video, but the meme of him in the fire, just like.
Which is an accurate way, I'm sure, to describe how he was feeling after watching this. But I don't know, just a little wankerish to me. But to some people he was a rock star, so totally get how you're taking that side.
Sorry. I can't. That's one of my favorite. I think that's my favorite F1 meme of all time. So top 5 for sure.
Absolutely. Number 6, cool down room.
Ricci quickly jumping in and recommending that you lower your volume for the next 5 seconds. You have been warned.
Rockstar!
Sorry to everybody in their volume.
Sorry.
But yeah, actually, because you know what? I started watching Formula One in 2020. So I never got to experience the cool down room because so it was actually kind of nice to finally see them back in the room. Mm-hmm. And get to experience that kind of banter between the 3 drivers. And I don't know, it was just nice. It was just nice to have back. It's like some normalcy is back. Fans are back. People are going back to the track. Crowds are like starting to get as big. I don't know. I think they had a record amount of fans at Australia Grand Prix 2 weekends ago.
Cool.
So, but cool down room. Come on. We love to see it.
It was so fun, and it just looked like the 3 of them were having a genuinely good time, just kind of shooting the breeze and hanging out after. No one threw gloves at one another. I'm calling you out again, Nico. Get over it. But yeah, it was just fun to see them there, which was nice. So I'm super excited for more moments like that. Hopefully we get different drivers in the cool down room every time, which would be pretty neat.
I was about to say, Erica, you didn't do your multi 21.
My multi 21.
When Vettel and Weber were in the 2013 Malaysia Grand Prix, and he's like multi 21, Seb, and Seb's just chugging a bottle of water because he knew he didn't do team orders.
Oh man, yeah, no,
that's still one of my favorite cool down moments. It was very, you could tell that the things were not going well, and there was some controversy going on in Red Bull there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think we're gonna see some good stuff come out of it if we're allowed to kind of listen in a little more. So I think we got some characters on the grid, and I think seeing some of them there will provide us with some excellent commentary. So into it. Cool. Down room. Haha. Number 7, Alpine.
I guess not a good weekend. One, their driver, so I would say Wanker. Not a good one driver out, and then another one got a 5-second grid penalty. Hopefully they're able to kind of turn things around, but Alonso's not having a good season so far. And I hope this is just not a repeat of when he was at McLaren after Ferrari, where just some sub-level performances and lack of motivation, and hopefully there's not any issues in the garage, but I don't know, not a good weekend for them.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with a car that we've seen to be, at least in some shape or form, competitive. They're just struggling. Like Ocon was having a rough time during quali and during the sprint. And yeah, like you said, Alonso's just having a rough go of it. So fingers crossed they can kind of turn a corner and get back, because I think we all are enjoying the fact that it's not just guaranteed same 5 teams being in the top 10, and we'd like it to stay an interesting season that way. So I'm hoping Alpine can stay or get back to being racy.
And I was hoping Alonso would have a good weekend, because like he's raced at that before, that track before, back in the early 2000s. So we was kind of like, fingers crossed, this might be the that we see some of that glorious racing that we did when he was previously, oh my gosh, with Renault. Was it Renault? Oh my gosh.
Renault?
No.
What?
No, sorry. Next one.
Okay, next one.
I totally blanked on what team that he won with in 2005, 2006.
You know what? It's fine. We'll just move on to number 8. It's cool. No one needs to know. Number 8. Rockstar Wanker. Lando Norris is singing.
Rockstar. That was really cute to hear on the radio. For those that don't know, when he got told that he got his podium, his engineer's mother's birthday, and so he sung it. Sung happy birthday to her. And
happy birthday to Will's mum. Happy birthday to Will's mum. What's your mum's name, Will?
Everyone loves a good Lando Norris singing on the mic.
It was sorry. Cat screaming at me, had to go pick him up. Yeah, it was just so cute. Like when Lando hears P3, I love it when they always switch to his radio. He's always so happy, like wow, all the time, and then just to go into happy birthday while he's kind of in the throes of excitement was very fun. So yeah, I agree. Rockstar. 2 more here. Number 9, Valtteri Bottas.
Another good performance for him. So definitely Rockstar. I don't know I know he had to play a little bit more of the senior driver this weekend, just with the crash for Guangyi Zhou. I'm just trying to think. But basically it was good to kind of see him fight it out and almost like getting close to sorry. Oh my gosh, Russell. Sorry. Wow. Just like we literally were just talking about this. But it was good to kind of see him fight it out. And actually there's some videos surfacing afterwards of him getting a Rockstar treatment back at the garage when he came back after this race.
Yeah, I was really happy to see how well he's been doing this season so far, able to make it back into Q3 after unfortunately missing it in the last race, kind of bringing his unreal streak to an end in terms of qualifying. And then also to see that a car that a lot of people didn't expect to be doing all that well, because Alfa Romeo hasn't necessarily had a great showing the last few years, he's finding a lot of pace in it. And, you know, everyone was really kind of questioning this move to Alpha, and we're seeing some good stuff happen here. So I was super thrilled with him, an absolute rock star of a weekend. And with that, the last one, the weather, Rockstar or Wanker?
Wanker. I don't like wet races. I might be biting my tongue because I probably said I've liked some good races back in the day, but I don't know. It was just all over the place. You heard the radio. Oh, we might have some rain coming in. Oh, we might not. Yes, no. It was just all over the place. And I think, the 4 red flags was a good illustration of just some of a mess that some drivers have to go through on these tracks when it rains. It has to deal with all the kind of weathers that come with driving in Formula One.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It was just toying with our emotions in terms of what we were going to expect. I can only imagine how much stress that adds to everyone in the paddock and the drivers as well. Like, it would get so dark and gloomy at some point, you would swear it was just about to start raining and nothing would happen. So I'm sure the guys in the garage were very busy running around trying to talk about what their strategy and planning would be. So, you know what? Mother Nature, not your biggest fan right now. It was a bit of a wanker move. So, and that brings us...
Damn you, Mother Nature.
Damn you, Mother Nature. How dare you give me a place to live and air to breathe.
Do you remember, I don't know if you ever watched The Simpsons, Erica, but there's like that where Homer Simpson's dad is like, old man yells at the sky.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can imagine you doing that outside today. Like, damn you. But also love this nice weather. Damn
exactly. But that brings us to the end of our second go at Rockstar or Wanker. Thanks for playing, Ricci.
I very much love this segment, and I'm looking forward to when Andrew gets back when we do a Miami preview next week. We're gonna do this again, even though we'll figure out what those 10 things are for the next week. So I'm in, 100%.
Awesome.
10 out of 10. Greatest segment.
It's a good one. We're gonna have to come up with more fun ones like these as we can like memify the season. But quickly, just before we wrap up here, to give you an idea of how fantasy is going between the three of us. This week was, I don't think anyone's best showing because a lot of us, I think, placed our bets on Ferrari and that didn't really pan out. But in terms of points this week, Ricci got 965 points for his picks. I got 881 points for my picks, and Andrew got 774.
Ooh. Okay, I can't really complain then.
So we did see some movement here after Australia. Ricci was still sitting pretty in first, but Andrew and I had swapped places. So Andrew had moved up into second and I dropped into third. But after our showing this week, I am now back into second. Andrew has dropped down to third and Ricci is still sitting pretty in first place. Ricci has 3,937 points. I have 3,664 points. And Andrew has 3,563 points. So lots still to happen here. I think it's going to be a battle to the bitter end between Andrew and I at the moment, unless we make some incredible picks and start putting the pressure on Ricci. But yeah, and for those of you that asked before about doing a league with us, we're still keeping that in the back of our minds for next season, so we can open it up to a larger pool, have a fun time, and engage with y'all on another level.
Yeah, no, totally supportive of that. I'm literally just looking at some of the breakdowns. The good thing about this app is there's always a race recap, and it kind of gives you highlights like who had the most points, who improved, who was efficient, what was the team value. And I had a point to contract value ratio of 8.49. So like, I honestly don't understand how I had a good weekend with this league, because if you look at my other league, I dropped 8 spots.
Oh my gosh.
Not good.
Yeah, I haven't bothered to look at some of my other ones. I'm too scared to do it. So I'm going to hold off on that as long as I can. But that brings us to the end of our recap for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me, Ricci.
Well, no worries, Erica. You literally messaged me and asked if we were doing a pod this week, and I said, yes. So no, I'm kidding.
But it's all good. Next week there is no race, but the three of us will be back in action, Ricci, myself, and Andrew, to do a bit of a preview on the Miami Grand Prix, the inaugural race being held at this track down there in the good old US of A. And who knows, maybe some other fun drama will happen that we'll need to talk about between now and then. But otherwise, stay frosty.
Let's hope that the drivers actually make it to the race and not like party. But actually, anyone that's not part of my fantasy team, do whatever you want. Like go party, miss the race. But those 5 drivers, whoever I have, I expect you at the track, please. That's all I ask.
Just if you get the suspicion that someone's picked you for fantasy, just listen to it. Be like, you know what? This one person in Canada's picked me for their team. I can't party this week. So
Shucks. But Andrew, we're looking forward to having you next episode. Erica, as always, it's great to talk to you. A lot happened this weekend, and only time will tell when we talk about Miami next week. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Twitch. I was actually streaming some F1 earlier this week. Just trying to finish up the Breaking Point career that I've just been putting off. I think I'm towards the final couple of missions, so that'll be exciting to see what happens there. But I guess, Erica, send us off.
ladies and gentlemen, and all other peoples involved out there in the world, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of the F1 podcast. Like Ricci said, make sure to like and subscribe across our multiple platforms on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And also follow us on Instagram at f1.podcast to stay up to date with all the latest happenings. With that said, we will talk to you later and enjoy the rest of your week.
Hey, we just got it on the podium. Who would have thought?